Update on the latest news, sports, business and entertainment at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. California wildfires. The latest. Police make first looting arrest in fire zone. Redding, Caliph. AP. Authorities say they have made an arrest related to looting in Northern California neighborhoods evacuated because of a deadly wildfire. Shasta County Sheriff Tom Vasenko told anxious residents at a community meeting Saturday that authorities had collared a parolee and he was going to jail. Residents cheered and did so again later when Redding Police Chief Roger Moore said his officers had leads on other suspects. More than 38,000 people have been displaced since the blaze started Monday. At least 3 civilians and 2 firefighters have been killed. Supreme Court Kavanaugh's Second Amendment. No mystery to Supreme Court nominee Kavanaugh's gun views. Silver Spring, Maryland. AP. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh made it clear in a 2011 dissenting appeals court opinion that he thinks Americans can keep most guns, even the AR-15 rifles used in some recent mass shootings. Kavanaugh's nomination has delighted Second Amendment advocates, and worried gun law supporters that his ascendancy to the High Court would make it harder to curb the proliferation of guns. Kavanaugh, an appeals court judge in the District of Columbia since 2006, gave his views while dissenting in a ruling upholding a ban on semi-automatic rifles in the nation's capital. He believes history and tradition should guide the boundaries of the Second Amendment. That gives a green light to semi-automatic rifles, which have been commercially sold for more than a century. Editor's note _1 in a series of stories examining the nomination of federal appeals court Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Shootings. Newspaper benefit concert. Editor calls Capitol Gazette victims friends of the people. Annapolis, MD. AP. The executive editor of the Washington Post says the 5 Capitol Gazette employees killed in an attack in their newsroom last month were friends of the people, and not one of them deserved to be seen as an enemy. Martin Barron spoke Saturday at a benefit concert in Annapolis, Maryland, for the 5 murdered employees. While he did not mention President Donald Trump by name while speaking to the audience, Barron said, "Not one of them deserved to be seen as an enemy by the man who killed them, and not one of them deserved to be called an enemy by anyone else, either." Trump has repeatedly referred to the media as the enemy of the people. The day after the shooting, he said journalists shouldn't fear being violently attacked while doing their job. Vatican Cardinal resignation. The latest. McCarrick accuser hopes victims can now heal. Vatican City, AP. A Virginia man who says he was sexually abused for decades by Theodore McCarrick said Saturday that he's pleased by news that Pope Francis accepted the Cardinal's resignation. The man, who agreed to be identified only by his first name, James, said the abuse began when he was just 11 years old and continued into adulthood. He tells the Associated Press that he hopes McCarrick's resignation would help other victims become free. McCarrick has denied the allegations of abuse. James, who recently filed a police report, said, "Truth always prevails." The AP generally doesn't identify people who say they've been sexually abused. James asked to be called by his first name only in order to protect his family's privacy. James says he's thankful that everybody in today's world is more understanding of the harm done by individual priests, and now we can start to heal. Texas mall active shooter. The latest. Suspects in custody after Texas robbery attempt. McAllen, Texas, AP. Authorities say an attempted robbery at a jewelry store prompted a heavy police response following initial reports of an active shooter at a Texas mall. McAllen Police Chief Victor Rodriguez said in a statement that the city posted on its Twitter page that the reports of shots fired Saturday were actually the result of glass cases that were smashed at the store at the La Plaza Mall. Rodriguez says all known suspects are in custody and there were no injuries resulting from the attempted robbery. Dispatchers with McAllen Police and the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office declined to answer questions when reached by phone. The mall is one of the primary shopping centers in the Rio Grande Valley. Greece forest fire. Burials of Greece's wildfire victims begin. Athens, Greece. AP. Funerals for victims of Greece's lethal wildfire have begun, with the burial of an elderly priest who drowned as he sought safety from the flames in the sea off the Mari coastal resort. Hundreds attended Father Spiridon Papapostolou's funeral Saturday in his parish of Hilandri, a northern suburb of the Greek capital. Papapostalou, along with his wife and daughter, had entered the water to protect themselves from the fast-moving flames, but he passed out and drowned. The blaze claimed the lives of at least 86 people, including children. Coroner Nikolaos Kalogrias said the identification of remains continues at a steady pace. Meanwhile, Public Order Minister Nikos Toskas told state broadcaster ERT it was impossible to evacuate the area's 15,000 people in the 90 minutes that Monday's blaze lasted. Norway polar bear attacks man on island off northern Norway. Berlin, AP. Norwegian authorities say a polar bear has attacked and injured a man leading tourists off a cruise ship on an archipelago between mainland Norway and the North Pole. The Joint Rescue Coordination for Northern Norway tweeted Saturday the incident occurred when the tourists landed on the most northern island of Svalbard. It said the man was taken by helicopter to the town of Longyearbyen on Spitsbergen Island and that he was in stable condition. No details were given on his identity or how the attack happened, but the rescue group tweeted that the polar bear was shot dead. Norwegian public broadcaster NRK reported the man was attacked while taking tourists onto the island and that he's a crew member of the MS Bremen, operated by Germany's Hapag-Lloyd Cruises. Sean Spicer, racial slur. Sean Spicer, taken aback by man's claim he used racial slur. Middletown, RI. AP, a publicist says ex-White House press secretary Sean Spicer was taken aback by the outrageous claim of a black man who accused Spicer of calling him a racial slur when they attended a Rhode Island prep school. Spicer was at a book signing in Middletown on Friday to promote his new book reflecting on his time at the press podium for President Donald Trump. Cambridge, Massachusetts, resident Alex Lombard yelled out Spicer's name and said they attended Portsmouth Abbey School. Spicer waved to Lombard and said, "Hey, yeah, how are you?" Lombard then accused Spicer of calling him the N-word and trying to fight him when they were students. A Newport Daily News video doesn't show how Spicer reacted to that. Regnery Publishing publicist Lauren McHugh says Spicer can't recall any incident like what Lombard alleges. Copyright 2018 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, written or redistributed.